𝐜𝐡𝐚𝐧𝐬𝐭が知る必要はない。もういいだろう。さっさとお前を倒し、王女を追わせてもらう。
やはりやるしかないんだな。
ヘイスト！ストレングス！
What's going on, everyone? This week, going into new Saga, the show had a lot of making up to me to do based on last week's episode. If you were with me last week, if you weren't, what's up? I'm Dom from the Otaku Room. I review anime weekly here. But if you weren't with me last week on episode number 4, I kind of stated and told you guys like, hey, you know, this episode, basically what it did was it low-key like wasted our time. And I kind of ran through like, here's this 6-minute segment, this 10-minute segment, this 6-minute segment, and then the episode ended. And for the most part, it stretched everything out last week. Even the last portion of the episode where the princess could have said what was going on and they decided not to. So regardless, I'm not going to run all the way through it, but episode 5 had a lot of making up to do. Like episode 4 was so bad from wasting its viewers' time, which like, hey, our time is precious, right? That's the biggest currency we have, is to give an anime our time. Yeah, we're giving our $8 or whatever for our Crunchyroll subscription, or our $6 for High Dive, or, you know, whatever subscription service that you might be watching this on, you know. But the reality is, like, for me, my time is worth more than the $8, so I can never get that back. So episode 5 had a lot of making up to do. So I'm very happy to report, though, I know it's a long-winded intro, but like I was very, very, very pleased, very entertained. I laughed a lot. I was really deep into the episode. And overall, I had a really good time watching episode number 5. So I'm really happy to report that they made up all of my worries and everything that happened last week. So some of the things that was really interesting this week is at the end of the episode, our boy Kyle goes in, and you know, you could have guessed, you know, his relationship with the magic swordsman guy, you know, the guy from that was originally set to protect the princess, but ended up deciding to kill her instead. I think his name's Zygarde or something like that. Basically, we could have assumed, you know, that he was really, really close to him at some point. What was his name? Zergus. I said Zygarde? That's Pokemon. Zergus. So we could assume that he was really close to him and he had relations with him, but, you know, he actually learned his swordsmanship from him originally. Now, obviously, he became the hero that defeated the Demon Lord or whatever, so obviously he surpassed him as, like, the guy. So he could probably surpass him again. But knowing that all of his, like, you know, techniques and everything else came from him, and the fact that he dueled with him and fought with him and sparred with him probably hundreds of times, he really wanted to avoid fighting him. But this Zergus guy does have a lot of questions to ask, because or to answer, because, you know, I'm sure that he would never really shared what he's doing now with Kyle in the past. So now Kyle has all these questions like, why are you really doing this? Like, why are you trying to take down the princess? Why are you trying, like, you're not doing it for money or status? Like, what is the thing? Like, why her? Why support the piece of shit prince? Like, why are you doing this? Like, he has some questions that this guy really needs to answer. And I think he'll get them out of him, but it's going to involve him maybe having to slay him, which really sucks. Is he, you know, ideally he would like to get him on his side because he is somebody who really knows him. So I thought that was a really, really interesting thing. And I love how the princess kind of called him out. It's like, yo, you seem to really know this Zergus guy. Like, you know, like you keep talking about him like you know him. She's like, so, you know, us meeting, you saving me, like, is this really, like, was this coincidental? Like, was this, like, what? And you know, basically Kyle just like, I don't know, you know? So I kind of like that. And I like that the princess and Kyle have a really good dynamic as well, too. I think that's really cool, especially because she didn't exist in his past timeline. You know, because she did fall, she did die and stuff. She did fall to their crappy plan. So it's going to be even more interesting now to figure out, okay, like, what exactly, how is she going to fit into this new plan? I really like that. I also really like that they had you know, they're running away and they were trying to get away from the knights and stuff. And I love how they left Theron, however you want to say his name. I love how they left him behind. And I love how both Kyle and Lise both realize on how powerful Theron really is. Like, he uses gravity magic, basically uses like fancy weighted stuff to practice. And even, you know, Kyle's like, he's a better swordsman than me. Like he's much better. Like he's, you know, he's super powerful. And Lisa's like, yeah, like we're not worried about him at all. Like he disappears and he does all this stuff. Like he's the strongest of us. And I love how they joke around about how, like, you know, half the time they pretend like he's a weakling, you know, but like basically like half the time they're effing around, but the other half, like, they're being so for real because of his personality. So I love that. So I thought that dialogue, you know, back and forth with them, I thought was really, really fun too. So overall, like, just, you know, the dialogue with the princess, the stuff with 𝐜𝐴ron, them getting away from the knights, them hearing about the plan, the princess divulging all of the information to them to kind of get them on their side by force. The stuff, you know, leading up to the fight and then the fight beginning, I was really happy with too. And the next week we're going to get kind of like, you know, what ends up happening with the actual fight, which I'm going to be very interested as well too. So overall, new Saga episode 5, I thought was really, really good. I would rate this at 8 out of 10. I think they brought me back, and I was really concerned with the way they wasted my time last week in episode number 4. So I was really hoping that they were going to... Well, they had a big job, which was to bring me back and kind of make up for last week. And I think that I do think that they did that. I just wish last week wasn't such a doo-doo episode. But overall, I think they nailed it. So... really good episode. Really enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next week for episode number 6 of New Saga. Peace out, my friends.